People are living for the city.
Yep.
They're living for their friends, living for their religion and their beliefs, and they're not following the natural path.
Yep.
The natural path is a path of least resistance.
Right.
And that path is the path of making yourself better, healing yourself, and becoming the doctor, becoming the teacher,
Yeah.
you see,
Yeah. Of self.
of self
Yeah.
for you. And it's
Yeah.
unique.
Yeah.
People say, well, this is the way we're supposed to. No, there's no we.
Yeah.
It's me first.
Yep.
I've got to figure out what works for me.
Yeah.
Then I can also go help everybody else.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, what happens is even when you go into your doctor, they can't even help you if you can't describe to them what's going on with you. They got to ask you, well, when did this problem start? And how long has it been going on? And sometimes they ask, well, when does it happen? What times during the day? And, what did you eat last week? They have to literally source you first
Yes.
before they can even help you, which is probably a good indication that you should probably start with self first too.
Yes. Yes.
And I think what happens is a lot of people have given up on the idea of I can heal myself first.
Yes.
And I think it's because we've disconnected ourselves from the idea that this ease, just like health, begins and ends with us.
Yes.
And so I love that, man, because like just for myself, I had the same story. Like, not in the music industry, but I'm working in the hospital and I'm actually unhealthy. I'm overweight by 50 pounds. I had got diagnosed with high blood pressure when I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
And this was despite being an athlete, only 7% body fat, 7 to 10% body fat. And get to be in my late 20s working in the hospital. And now when I'm in the hospital with that white coat and my people see me, they come to me because they're like, I can identify with him.
Yes.
And what I realized was that our people don't like taking medication.
That's right.
And so they would always ask me, well, what can I take? What herb can I take? And what this can I take? And so, when I was giving them recommendations for the high blood pressure and realized that I had high blood pressure, it made me realize that maybe I should stop being a hypocrite and do something about my own health first.
Yes. Yes.
And that was the beginning of my journey. That was the beginning of the light that said, okay, if I can heal me, then I can guide people along their own personal journey.
Yes.
And so I always love that because most of the time when I talk to healers, that's the experience that they have.
Yeah, it's reflecting on yourself.
Yep.
There's people now that get into this because of the business. I mean, the natural health industry, the business is like $40 billion or something now. So everybody wants a piece of that.
Yeah.
I'm saying I didn't get into this for business.
Yeah.
I'm still not technically in it for business.
Yeah.
I give too much away.
Yeah.
They say, oh, no, this is what you need to do for marketing, and you're not posting enough, and you're not that, and you're not pushing your products. I say, I made those products for myself.
Yeah.
All my products I made for myself and for my mother who had MS.
Okay, got you.
In fact, one of the first two products I made was for my mother.
Yeah.
Because she was, having the symptoms of MS, but she had a lot of fillings in her teeth. There was a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And I began to look at it and begin to make products to help her, make
Yeah.
teas and things. And my mother, by the way, was the longest living person with MS that didn't peak. It
Yeah.
got to a plateau,
Yeah.
and then they wanted to cut her open, do experimental surgery. We don't know how this is not, because they thought it was going to advance really fast.
Yeah.
But she was taking her herbs. She was doing the meditations. Plus, my mother was, she was like an oracle. She just knew. Everybody would come to my mother for, if you wanted some spiritual advice, my mother was amazing.
Yeah.
And she trained me a lot in how to see and how to look at numbers and sequences. And her mind was in a place where the illness didn't stop her. In fact, she got the teacher of the ward every year for like about, I think, 4 or 5 years. She's in the chair. And the other people they got they can walk and they can run. She's in the chair, but she's using herself to project in a whole nother way. So a lot of times when we have what we call a deficiency or something that, looks like it's a problem or a handicap, that actually empowers you.
Yeah.
You see, so I looked at what I didn't have and looked at what I could have. I said, well, since I'm sick, it's tied to its opposite.
Indeed.
How could I be well?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I didn't even choose to teach. I was just doing this for myself. And what happened was Stevie Wonder had a radio station in LA, and he had a show in the morning called The Front Page.
Gotcha.
And this brother, Carl Nelson, and this other brother named Jamal asked me to come on and tell about my life, how I shifted from the music industry, and I had changed because I'd reduced like about 90 pounds.
Yeah.
My whole everything changed, and they were like, "Man, you got to tell the story." And I didn't want to do it because I said I stutter. I don't know how to speak. I can't remember nothing. Remember in school they said I had ADD, ADHD. I was half retarded. I mean, I had it all
Yeah.
as a child because I was out there. I'm looking at the bees, counting away how many ways times their bees, their wings flap. I was on a whole nother dimension as a child. So they figured this was a problem.
Yeah.
But it was interesting that I decided to go on the show and I was nervous. So I just started telling stories.
Yeah.
And even as a child, I would tell stories and create voices and characters. So they wouldn't see the real me. I became a character. And I
Yeah.
did that on the radio, and boom, the phone started ringing. Folks started calling me to do lectures because I had a fun way of talking about health.
Yeah.
And that's the way Dr. B was born.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, I guess I got to do this. And then this one guy says, you have to speak publicly. Otherwise, you're being selfish and stingy.
Yeah.
He says, and I said, no, I'm shy. He says, shy is another type of stingy.
Yeah.
You're afraid to show yourself.
Yeah.
He says, get out there and help the people because you're making it fun and people need that.
Yeah.
So that's how, this whole thing took that next level.
All right, cool. So Dr. B is born. And out of that sort of enlightenment of self-healing, now you're helping other people heal.
Yes.
And what I found along my journey is that, I spent 4 years in Okinawa, Japan, learning from people who live to 100, no disease, and eat primarily a plant-based diet. Traveled to India for a few months to learn about yoga and meditation, and then Africa to learn about herbalism, and then Peru and Honduras, and then finally came back here. And I'll tell you, I've learned the most from the people I've worked with.
Yes.
Like, the people I've worked with have taught me far more than all of that knowledge that I spent over the course of like 6 years. But the question, like I always have, is like, okay, our bodies are designed to like not only heal itself, but also to regenerate itself.
Yes.
We have detoxification systems that detox our bodies of things that it doesn't need, waste, toxins. We have an immune system that's designed to fight away, foreign bodies and foreign invaders. We have stem cells that can regrow and regenerate our body's tissue. We have angiogenesis, which can feed blood supply to tissues as well too. We have all of these things in place, and we know that food and toxicity and stress cause disease. But how is it that our social programming, our consciousness, how is that affecting our ability to heal?
Well, what we have is we have blocked channels of elimination. See, if you have a channel of elimination, let's say your toilet backs up,
Yeah,
it can't flush.
right.
You got to call the plumber to clean it out. We're taught as children in the system that we've come through that what we have is what we have.
Yeah,
And it's a struggle. You learn the language of struggle. You learn the language of pain. You're told how hard it's going to be to be healthy, how hard it's going to be to get married and stay married, how hard it's going to be in school. It's all the language of struggle. But you're taught the language of ex-slaves who are now mentally, physically, spiritually enslaved. So the language that they're speaking is the language of disempowerment.
yeah,
You're talking about what can't happen. And then if you say something like magic, oh, don't say that. You don't want to get into that magic. Black magic is bad. Black magic is the ability to go into the darkness and recreate yourself.
yeah. Form light.
Darkness is where everything comes from, but they scare you of your own power. So everything is about fear. So the average person grew up in a family that lived in fear. They had inferiority complex, right? And once you have that inferiority complex, you teach it to the children.
Okay.
Nobody's taught that I remember I used to have to go outside and pick those dandelions out the grass. They had a special little tool.
Yeah.
My father would say, go out there and get rid of those dandelions. Little did I know that these dandelions, because every once in a while I take one and eat it.
Yeah.
Something just said eat it. My father said, you eating those things? Well, they're good. I like them. You know what I'm saying? Then we find out that dandelion is so important to help regenerate the blood, help the kidneys, the liver, and the spleen.
Yeah.
This is medicine. But why do we get it out of the lawn? Because they had a law that they created that said that anything other than grass could not be in your front yard. It's called the Beautification Act of America.
Mm.
Because people had whole farms. You wanted a lot of land,
Yeah.
not to cut that sucker with a lawnmower,
Yeah.
to grow stuff,
Right.
to take care of your stuff. But no, we need you to go to the grocery store now. And keep in mind, the grocery store doesn't have anything growing.
Yeah.
And in your mind, you keep saying it's a grocery store and there's nothing growing.
Right.
You go to the pharmacy and there's no farm. But you know, your mind has been programmed by lack, limitation, and not enoughness in a slave mindset. You're not able to put it all together here.
Right.
There's nothing in here healthy.
Right.
So the bottom line is we were taught to to limit ourselves from our natural healing. We were taught to be afraid of getting into our natural self because that's paganism. Herbalism is paganism.
Right.
You got crystals and you got stones and things, and you into these numbers. That's pagan.
Right.
You got to go to the church to get your healing, and you got to wait till you die to go to heaven.
Right.
But the book, I'm reading the book, and don't say that. Where's this in the book at?
Right.
I thought it said something about creating heaven on earth. I thought it said something about you can do more than I.
Right.
Once you realize that you've got to reach this divine state inside you, and once you reach that, they call it in Sanskrit the siddhi. You have to reach this divine state, right? Where you are existing, right? By creating your outcome in your mind first. First in your mind, then feel it like it's already happened.
Right.
Feel like you are creating heaven on earth. Feel your body healing. Feel your organs regenerating.
Right.
I've had people who have healed just from thought.
Right.
I said, just focus on your leg, your knee being better.
Right.
They did an experiment years ago where they had people who had needed knee surgery. They took one group, cut the knee open. First, they showed them all the video of the operation. They took one group, cut the knee open, right? And then sewed the tendons back together, whatever. One group, they cut the knee open, sprayed water, put them back together. One group cut the knee open, didn't do anything, and put them back together. The people all thought they had the same operation.
Right.
They found out that the people they didn't do anything to healed just as quickly as the people who had all the sewing and cutting and sawing and drilling.
Right.
What is that about? Your mind, right, is creating the healing.